Tyrannosaurus imperator, Tyrannosaurus regina are no more, and only Tyrannosaurus rex remains, argues a recent scientific paper. Hello and welcome back to a brand new episode of Fossil Frenzy. As I previously said in our 3 Species of Tyrannosaurus episode, I wanted to make sure I could keep you updated as the splitting of Tyrannosaurus was highly controversial. Recently, a paper, Insufficient Evidence for Multiple Species of Tyrannosaurus in the Latest Cretaceous North America, a comment on the Tyrant Lizard King, Queen, Emperor, multiple lines of morphological and stratigraphic evidence support subtle evolution and probable speciation within the North American genus Tyrannosaurus, was authored by Thomas D. Carr, James G. Napoli, Stephen L. Brusatte, Thomas Holtz Jr., David W.E.Hone, Thomas E. Williamson, and Lindsey E. Zanno, and it argues that there is still only one Tyrannosaurus. Now, a lot of you may recognize these names, as quite a few are known in the public zeitgeist and not just the scientific one, as they are some of the top minds on dinosaurs and some Tyrannosaurus specifically. In short, the paper concludes T. imperator and T. regina are junior synonyms of T. rex. While they disagree on the multi-species hypothesis, in principle they agree with Paul et al. That there is a good reason to question if Tyrannosaurus included more than one species, especially considering that contemporaries such as Triceratops and perhaps even Pachycephalosaurus included more than one species. So this paper is looking less at if it's impossible that there were more than one species of Tyrannosaurus, but rather if the case was sufficiently demonstrated. Now, this paper obviously starts with a recap of Paul et al. And the splitting of T-Rex into 3 species based on evidence of stratigraphic position, robusticity, and basal length ratio of the second and third dentary teeth. It also discusses the methods of the previous paper. For example, 2 types of statistical algorithms, fuzzy C-means and K-means clustering, were used to justify this break based on femoral robusticity of 2.4, i.e. greater than 2.4 were gracile and less were robust. Now, it is argued in this new paper here that these methods were unsuitable, as the procedures will find any number of clusters an investigator looks to justify. Instead, agglomerative hierarchical clustering would be better suited for the multi-species question. Some reservations were also discussed as far as the taxonomic comparisons. First, with the Allosaurus of the Cleveland-Lloyd dinosaur quarry, the CLDQ is dominated by juveniles, of which may not represent the full range of this species. Also, the taxa used for comparison are themselves extinct and thus unknowable taxonomic status. Following up on this also states how easy the sister taxon of Tyrannosaurus, being Tarbosaurus, can be distinguished. A. The supraorbital process. B. Rostral ramus of the lacrimal. C. Horizontal ramus of the maxilla. D. Ventral ramus of the prefemoral. E. And maxillary. F. The dentary teeth. Showing how easily the 2 sister taxon can be distinguished brings up the question of how specimens of Tyrannosaurus, such as AMNH 5027 with a well-preserved and nearly complete skull, could not be identified as Rex, Imperator, or Regina. Also, it questions how any specimen with a complete skull and no femur, or vice versa, cannot be identified. This causes an issue with isolated specimens that are found with overlap in dentaries such as T. rex or T. regina, or isolated femora such as T. rex or T. imperator. For the March paper, of the 53 specimens listed in the taxonomic section, only 5 were confidently assigned to Rex, 11 to Imperator, and 7 to Regina, leaving 30 unclear to placement. The new paper calculated the robustness of the extant avian theropods in the study and yielded a mean interspecific robusticity range of 0.66 to 0.35, which is greater than the absolute variation in T-Rex, which was 0.61. Tyrannosaurus does have a higher variation of femur robusticity than the 3 other Tyrannosaurids included, but overall is unexceptional, with some birds being over 3 times as variable in character. Now on the screen now is the histogram, and that dotted line actually represents Rex, and it kind of shows, the variation might be extreme compared to some. It's really kind of in the middle of that list, so it's not too extreme compared to all the theropods, both extinct or extant, that were used in this new study. Now getting back to Tyrannosaurus's most famous feature, its teeth. In this paper, it discusses how adult T-Rex teeth count can vary between 12 and 14. In some adults, it's almost like the first tooth was lost completely, and instead it is represented by a small divot. Thus, it appears sometimes that in some specimens the second tooth spot may actually be the third in others. While looking over some of the skulls in the study, it also looks like some of the teeth may be incomplete or missing altogether. And finally, this paper looks at really kind of a hotly debated topic. It discusses how some specimens, 16, were held in more of a private collection. Like I said, this whole private collection thing is a hot debate, and we're not going to get into it here. We'll save that for another video. They don't really include these on studies due to the unreliability of people actually being able to go back and study these ones once they do get into private collections. And obviously science is about, being able to recreate findings. So all this information is kind of the long way that the paper has concluded there is simply one species of Tyrannosaurus, and that being Tyrannosaurus rex. Now they do conclude that yes, there is variation between adults, but most likely this is just explained by growth and or individual variation. So yes, there you have it. There's a ton of information. This paper was super fascinating. I had a ton of notes, and I will link it in the description below because these authors have taken a lot of time and put in a lot of hard work to give you such a fascinating paper. So definitely check it out in the description below. I would greatly appreciate it, and I know they would greatly appreciate it. And it might help you understand some of these topics a little bit more that I talked about. Again, this is more just kind of a brief overview of what the paper said, much like I did with the earlier one when Paul et al. Did theirs. And so this is super highly controversial, and while most people probably are on the side of T-Rex being only one species, there's still quite a few that still will probably argue, maybe not like Spinosaurus where we see it like every couple months, they're like, it's fully aquatic, it's not, But I bet we will probably see more papers on Tyrannosaurus. I mean, again, this is one of the most studied, if not the most studied, prehistoric animal. I mean, it makes it so easy for people to go in and have just this wealth of knowledge and learn about it so quickly and then build upon that knowledge, because some of these species we have very fragmentary remains. And that's what makes it nice to have like something like Tyrannosaurus. So I'm sure, like I said, we will get more papers like this in the future. And again, if we do just like this one, I am going to update you guys after I read the paper myself. That way I know what is in it. But yeah, if you guys want us to do more on different specimens of Tyrannosaurus, let me know in the comments below. I know we got some more cool fossil frenzies in the works right now. We actually got one about a ceratopsian that lived alongside Tyrannosaurus. I'm pretty excited for that. Stay tuned. We will definitely get there. But until next time, if you guys want to see more Fossil Frenzy episodes, click that link to your left. If you want to see more about what we're doing here at Cool's Paranormal, we got a lot going on. It's going to be a big year. Check that link to your right. And don't forget to hit that like and give us a subscribe. Like I said, this is going to be our biggest year yet, so make sure you click that subscribe button to come on the journey with us, and who knows, maybe meet us at a future Hanging with Cool's event.